So this is the second time that I'm reading this book, because the first time I read it, I didn't take notes, which is kind of stupid when you're reading a self-development book. But I remember it being really good, so I decided to read it again. I took notes. And this book is called How Successful People Think by John Maxwell. It's not one of his biggest books. It's not one of his most popular, but it's definitely one of my favorites from him. So in this video, I want to share with you guys some of the notes that I took. Chapter 1. Habit No. 1. Successful people think right. So he says that thoughts determine your actions, your character, and your destiny. And what you think about determines whether you are going to be successful or not. If you think like a winner, you will behave like a winner, and you will achieve victory. Habit No. 2 is setting goals. They have clear goals. And he gives an example of George Washington. He said that if you first give me a place to stand on, I can move the world. What he meant was that everything starts with a plan. If you don't have a goal, you don't have a destination. You're just wandering aimlessly, and that's exactly how most people live their lives. They don't have a goal. They don't have a destination. And here's something that he says. It's not the mountain we conquer, but ourselves. So yes, you need to set goals, but you also need to work on yourself. Because there's no point in setting a goal if you know that you can never achieve it because you're limiting yourself. You're telling yourself, I'm not capable of doing this, or I've failed too many times in the past, so I'm not going to even try. But it's not about that. It's about working on yourself, realizing your potential, realizing your abilities, and then setting goals that are just beyond your reach. Not too far away, but just far enough that you'll have to stretch and grow to achieve them. Habit No. 3. Successful people think positively. And he says that they look at the bright side of things. They always expect the best, and they act accordingly. And I love this quote. It's optimistic people who make the best of bad situations. So you need to start looking for opportunities in every situation. 8. Like every situation has 2 opportunities. One is to learn something, and the other is to grow from it. There's always something to learn from every situation, even if it's bad. You can choose to grow from it or not. That's up to you. But realize that every situation, whether it's good or bad, offers to opportunities. And then he talks about fear. He says that successful people think positively in spite of fear. He gives an example of Teddy Roosevelt. He says that it's not the critic who counts. It's not the man who merely points out how the strong man stumbles, or how the doer of deeds could have done it better. The credit belongs to the person who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by blood and sweat and dust, who at the best, in the end, knows the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails daring greatly. So yeah, go out there and dare greatly. Dare to fail, as he says. Dare to dream big. Dare to set big goals. Dare to take risks. No, for as that successful people think creatively, and he says that they come up with new ways to solve old problems. And I love this quote. It's only after we've made the worst of a bad situation that we discover there was another. He says that winners constantly see what can be done rather than what can't be done. And I believe that creativity comes from within. It comes from having an open mind, from being curious, from asking questions. No. 5 is that successful people think clearly. And he says that they make decisions quickly, but they take time to think before they speak. And I love this quote. Successful people think, winners talk, losers talk and complain. Winners do and accomplish. So stop complaining, stop talking, and start doing. Stop thinking that you're stuck, that you can't do anything. Just do it. Start taking action. Even if you don't know what you're doing, even if you've never done it before, just do it. Figure it out as you go along. But don't just sit there and complain. Don't just sit there and say, oh, it's impossible. I can't do it. Don't do that. Just do it. Take action. No. 6 is that successful people think on paper. And he says that they write down their thoughts and ideas. He gives an example of Thomas Edison. He said that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. So write down your thoughts, write down your ideas, write down what you want to achieve, write down your goals. Writing is a way of preserving your thoughts. It's a way of making them concrete. And it's also a way of holding yourself accountable. When you write something down, you're committing to it. You're saying, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to achieve. And that makes it more likely that you'll follow through on it. Number 7. Successful people think interpersonally. They think about how their thoughts affect others. And he says that they try to see things from other people's point of view. They consider other people's feelings and opinions. And I love this quote. Respect and a positive attitude toward others is the hallmark of a truly great personality. Now, this is important because if you want to be successful, you need to be able to work with others. You need to be able to lead, to inspire, to motivate. And you can't do that if you don't have a positive attitude, if you're not respectful of others. So remember that everyone you meet knows something you don't. Everyone you meet has something to offer you. So be respectful, be positive, and always look for the good in people. No, 8 is that successful people think independently. And he says that they develop their own style of thinking rather than following what everyone else is doing. So don't be afraid to think differently. Don't be afraid to be unique. In fact, embrace it. Use it to your advantage. And no. 9 is that successful people think systematically. They look at the big picture and then they break it down into smaller parts. So don't get overwhelmed by the big picture. Break it down into smaller parts. Set deadlines for each part and then work on it systematically. And finally, number 10, he says that successful people think constantly. They always have something to work on. They're always improving themselves. And he says that they ask themselves, how can I get better? How can I do things more efficiently? How can I make more money? How can I help more people? So always keep learning. Always keep growing. Never be satisfied with where you are. Always strive to be better, to do better, to achieve more. And he ends the book with this quote. Everything in your life is a result of your thinking. Your mind is like a parachute. It only works when it's open. So keep your mind open. Keep learning. Keep growing. Never, ever give up on yourself. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below, what are some of your favorite quotes from this book? If you've read any other books by John Maxwell, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.